A couple of days went by, didn't do a whole bunch other than looking, head scratching and thinking, but the proper prop spacer came in, so I kind of made sure everything fit, so I put that together. These handy foam blocks that I love so much came in handy for that, and today I'm going to resume the spinner cutout. And we'll see how that goes. All right, wish me luck. That thing's expensive if I mess it up. I think I already explained this earlier, but just explain it again. The spinner looks to be 12 and a quarter inches in diameter, so I cut a square piece of wood centered, drew the lines through it, and this will give me two-way verification that this is actually properly set on this. So I found these lines, I got this to line up, and obviously same thing on the other side, and then kind of turned it a couple of times just to make sure that there's no discrepancies. So basically now I have 180 degrees on either side. Then I measured the 3.53 inches in from the edge to here. I marked that. From the edge to here, I marked that. I have a 3.5 inch hole saw. The ultimate hole is going to be 3 3/4 inch. But the hole saws always kind of make a little bit bigger hole anyway. So if I understand it correctly, they kind of want you to tape this on some cardboard or poster board, then tape it here. I kind of feel it leaves a lot of margin for error or room for error. So I have this, I extended the center line on just to make sure it's straight. I can see through the paper that it lines up exactly with that. I'm going to attempt to drill this hole on center here and here. And the other thing that I've seen, it doesn't mention this in the manual, or if it does, I haven't seen it, is once you cut this hole out, sorry, not a very good hole, people actually save this piece and then screw it to the backing plate, and also to this to fill in that gap behind the prop. I really like the look of it. I know it's a little more work, and I'm going to attempt to do that. So I basically don't want to destroy this bottom half. I'm gonna make these cuts. Not sure what is the thinnest thing I have to cut it, and try to save that. So, all right, back to work. All right, so that worked out actually every bit as good as I thought it would. I did end up drawing the outline of the template on there just to give me a kind of a reference point. I am now going to cut these, and I'm trying to find the thinnest possible tool. The thinnest would be my little band saw, but I can't get this in there. So then I was toying between this and a thin cutoff wheel, but each of these is about 40 thousandths, so I feel more capable with the jigsaw, so I'm just going to cut it with the jigsaw. So I did measure this again. It's 4 3/16 edge to edge, and I have a 3.5 inch pipe that I can cut and with sandpaper open this up. I ended up drawing the outline on this because once I cut it out, it's going to be a little bit harder to see where I'm at. I'm tempted to just sand all of this to the correct opening size now, but I kind of want to cut this out and see how it fits on the actual propeller, just to give me a better visual. Here we go. So I did label the corresponding pieces I cut out as A and A, B and B. Hopefully they'll be interchangeable. And it fits. All right, that looks really nice. So they say to leave 3/16 of a gap around here. This is the piece that's, alright, so this will need modification to fit around there depending on what the pitch of the prop's gonna be. So now I'm just gonna sand all this out. Yeah, that'll be fun. I think I mentioned that I had this 3.5 inch PVC tube, and I couldn't resist. I cut it to 9 inches, and a sheet of sandpaper fits perfectly around it. So I glued that around it, and that makes for a nice way to kind of smooth out any high spots on on these cutouts. So yeah, looking really good. Happy with it. Yeah, move on. I forgot to mention that the drum sander, the way I was doing that, worked excellent. This stuff sands really, really easy. So they want you to allow at least 3/16 clearance between the spinner and the prop. So I just made a little stick, and I don't have it clamped anymore, but that's perfect with the holes that I cut. Then they want you to basically align 5/16 up, 5 evenly spaced holes on the spinner. Now, one thing I noticed is that once these cutouts are on, this thing doesn't sit as flush as it did before. It wants to collapse this way, so kind of always have to put pressure on it. But this came in very helpful. I think these are about 4 inches apart, and not line to line, not taking the radius into consideration. That's 4 inches. So I was able to line that up. This is square, so I ran this one. Once I lined all that up, I got my center mark, which is this one on either side. This one is 5/8 inch in from that, and then these are roughly about 3 3/8 in between each spacing. So basically measured it 150 times. I'm exaggerating, maybe 76 times, and gonna cut the holes now. They want you to kind of dimple one of these holes so you can align it with the back plate. I've been putting a mark at like 11 o'clock on everything, including all the way down to the spacer, just in case I need it. Being a little OCD, I kind of want to try to see if I can get it to fit either way. We'll see how that goes. The instructions lost me a little bit there, and I'm not sure. They want you to use 3 or 4 thin boards under backing plate for support. I did it more the hands-on way. So I have this mounted, I have that mounted to that, and basically aligned this and just clamped it all the way around. And I drilled them with a number 50. I know it's supposed to be a number 40 so I can Cleco it. But what I'm gonna try now is take it off, turn it 180 degrees and see how close I am. I'm pretty impressed. I was able to stick the number 50 drill bit into every one of these except for this one over here, but it was very, very close. So I am going to upsize those to 40, which is the original drill bit, and then flip it back to the way it's supposed to be and then do 30. All right, I got a little bit ahead of myself here. Drilled all those out. I forgot to take video. Drilled these all out to number 11s, and I am countersinking these. I'm going to use the flush solid rivets. I think it makes sense to do that here. And that's where I'm at now. So basically drilled them all, upsized them from 50 to 40 to 30, Clecoed them in, center hole to 11s, and yeah, carrying on. So far everything's going good. I have that all together. Get some weird nuts, bolts that they're using. Now I'm working on these things. So these were originally cut symmetrically with just that 3.5-inch hole saw hole out of it. I'm kind of working it now to get it to fit on any of the adjustments that the prop might have. So I'm kind of just putting it through like the different angles. Ooh, beta, backwards pitch. And making sure I still have that 3/16. Now this, I'm gonna put a little tab in there to hold it. But I don't think our pitch is gonna be much more than that. So, but at least it clears it. And yeah, so working on that. And I'll put some hot plates on here as well. And I have a piece of aluminum that I'll rivet to the back of this that kind of holds it in. The centrifugal force will keep it from coming out. Okie doke, making a big mess again. I got this guy apart. I made these, so I made little aluminum tabs. They're 1 inch wide. I got 5/8 going underneath here, and then 3/8 sticking out. And the idea is that once they bolt in, there'll be 2 screws on the bottom here, and then the aluminum tabs will keep them from flying out this way. I'm going to use 3 flush rivets on each one, but I'm also going to prime these because it's aluminum against carbon fiber, and I'll probably like epoxy and rivet them on all together. So I'm not going to do that tonight because I got a couple other things I got to prime, and I think what I will do is put these 2 T-nuts, nut plates in. There we go. All right, been a long day. there you have it. The spinner is complete. Here we go. Went pretty smooth. It's a little hairy because I know these things are sinfully expensive and they spin at the top of your plane and in front of your plane, and you don't want it to be unbalanced. I did the best I could by just measuring everything and triple checking, double checking, and so on and so forth. A few things worth mentioning. I thought it was easier to use the cutout as a template rather than what they do. Then I found this to be very helpful. A very square piece of 12¼ by 12¼ with a circle on it to help me align different parts of it. I don't know if I like these screws. They look very funky. I like these truss heads, stainless steel truss heads. I think they look a lot nicer. Might swap those out if nobody objects. I do recall the instructions telling you to use aluminum pull rivets and countersink the carbon fiber. So my thinking is, you know, it's going to make it on the backing plate even thinner, and it's very hard to countersink properly. Anyway, I used solid rivets. And I'm not sure why they don't tell you to use solid rivets, because maybe it's the spinner manufacturer isn't supplying, but RANS has supplied them for other parts of it. And if you have the squeezer, that works great. The other thing that I did that's not in the manual that I saw was added this plate in just to fill that gap. Yeah, it was a little extra work, but 2 more nut plates with 10/32 bolts. Like I said, I didn't actually, I want to bond these on, but before that I want to prime them, so everything fits, everything's good. I checked full travel on the propeller blades. Sorry, tired. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. That's the spinner, and I think it came out awesome. Hopefully it won't go like this when it's on the plane, and then I'll be real happy. But we got a few more things to do before we get that. All right, good night. Thank you for watching. Again, not instructional videos, basically just me doing it and explaining what I'm doing. I haven't seen too much documentation on the spinner. There's a few pictures on finished spinners on the builder's log. If there's videos out there, I did not find them, and maybe this will help somebody. It's pretty straightforward. There's no real gotchas. I do recommend the flush rivets. Yeah, measure twice, measure 3 times, cut once, drill once. Good night. Of course you knew I couldn't go to bed without putting this on. Really liking it. And yeah. Happy with it. Good night.